Hi everyone, my name's Kitty and I'm a new reviewer at ReadyUp.net. This is going to be my first review video and I'm going to be looking at Superbrothers Sword and Sorcery. Superbrothers Sword and Sorcery is one of those unique indie games that whilst it didn't quite explode onto the scene, it has a pretty core, loyal fanbase. The first thing that comes to mind whenever I think about this game is just how completely beautiful it is. The sounds, the art, the animation, how you interact with the background and the story. Like most games, it seems quite simple at first, with quick, easy to master mechanics and a tale as seemingly old as time. But over the course of the game, it builds up a complexity with the characters and the story, as well as an additional meta-narrative running parallel with the rest of the game that consistently breaks the fourth wall. Honestly, there were times I was pretty blown away by how well put together this game is. Our protagonist of the story is Scythian. She is a silent protagonist, although later in the game, once you collect what's called the Megatome, you begin to hear her insights into the world, and her thoughts can be quite endearing. The Scythian is on what's foreshadowed as a woeful journey, although the player never quite knows right until the end what that means. Despite that description of her journey, the game feels very upbeat and humorous due to the witty and relaxed nature of the conversations and the dialogue that the Scythian has with the people around her. The game is split into several sections, which I believe is done for very purposeful reasons. First, it bookends each section of the story, so each part kind of has its own theme. It also gives a chance to introduce the character, the archetype. He is a character that will pop up at the start of a section and also at various points through the game to speak directly to you, the player, not the main character. He speaks of the Scythian's journey almost like an experiment, as if you, as the Scythian, are being tested. It's using this guise of an experiment that the game shows you the base mechanics and then leaves you to discover everything on your own, and a lot of that is to do with relaxing back and exploring the environment that you're given. I felt like that worked really well because whilst the controls are quite intuitive, they don't take very long to master, but you have to have an awareness of the game and your surroundings to be able to solve any of the puzzles. For me in particular, the things that I really loved about this game was the very stark references to The Legend of Zelda and The Legend of Zelda's Triforce. You have to find the Trigons to be able to go and basically save the land that you kind of were the reason that it's in jeopardy. But that's cool because, you know, you're the hero, you know what I mean? Other things I really liked about this game were the environment and the music. The art style is very reminiscent of old school graphics, but it's done in such a clever way that as you're playing the game, parts of the world that you walked past at the start of the game, you realise later on is actually a path, or it's just very cleverly created so that you can rehash over old grounds, but they now have new things to offer you. The music is a large contributing factor to the experience that is Sword and Sorcery. It just sets the tone for every single part, and it's very unique. It's very ethereal. It has a very otherworldly feel that just is calming and relaxing, and whilst at the same time intriguing and sparking curiosity. If that makes sense. The other thing that I really love about this game is the dialogue. As you begin to go through the story, you start to get the hints of the character's woeful journey and the trouble that she has to go through. But throughout the entire experience, both the main character, the other characters that are there, even Dog Fella, who's the first character that you come across that really helps you and aids you out, it's all done with such a light-hearted way. It never takes itself too seriously. For such a short game, there's a depth to it that keeps the players on their toes and keeps you encouraged to constantly explore throughout the story. You know, at each stage, you're rewarded for unusual ways of exploring the environment with either hidden funny dialogue or spaces or inside jokes. It makes the game feel much longer than it is. Many elements of the game feel like Easter eggs you were never meant to find, and yet they're all part of the encompassing world that is Sword and Sworcery. Conclusion: if you're looking for an interesting game with quirky characters, an immersive story, and unusual mechanics you're not likely to have seen anywhere else, this is definitely the game for you. That's Kitty signing off. I'll see you next time.